Okay, hello everybody, and welcome back for round 3 of our match here. Round 3 of the Gentry Open. Always takes a few seconds to get into this caster mindset. So welcome for round 3. We have Barry Simon against Klaes Mats. Both these players are currently undefeated. Excuse me, a little burp moment. We have a repeat from the previous round as far as the deck goes. Simon is playing blue-red spells. He is playing a few cards differently. He is playing a lot more burn than we saw in the previous version of blue-red spells. And Mats is playing red-green energy. So red-green energy being the previous metagame golem, as we say it, the tester to decide whether your deck is good enough. A very solid deck that is capable of having very explosive attacks based off pump spells. And let's see if we have some interesting things here. We have main deck Vines of the Recluse. For Mats. So a pump spell that not a lot of people are playing. A big surprise of a value. 3 Servants of the Conduit, so 2 high spire infusions. Noticeably there are no Uncaged Furies, so he's not capable of giving creatures double strike. Peter Geernaert is currently 0-2, but is ecstatic about how well and fun his matches have been. He played against Tom van der Velde and against Bob Jacob, so he didn't actually got the easier opponents by any measure. In the meantime, we have Hungry Flames. Taking care of that Voltaic Brawler. No, that's not Hungry Flames. That was an Incendiary Flow. No, not Incendiary. Whatever, it was a burn spell. What other one do we have here? Was that the promo? No, it was an Incendiary Flow. Okay, Thriving Rhinos gets taken out by another Incendiary Flow. And this is how this match has to develop for Simon to have a chance. He needs to be able to keep everything off the board in order to survive. If he manages to get deeper into the late game, he'll be quite ready to take on whatever is coming towards him. Will be able to pose a clock and a threat in the form of his Arise from the Tides or Planeswalkers. We have the Trusty Leopard for this deck. Either Stream Leopard. It's a bit of a late adoption in this deck. If you look at it, there were a lot of people that were not playing these just when Aether Revolt came in, but lately more and more players have adopted the little cat that could. Big part of it is because it has Trample. That's 2 Thermal Alchemists giving Simon a path to victory again through life totals with incremental little packs rather than that big swingy turn that comes from a Rise from the Tides. So what do we see? I seen Adlin Cord in Mats' hand. That won't be long for this world against Simon's deck, who's stock full of damage, ready to take out planeswalkers. I think I see in a tune a High Spire Infusion. I can't really recognize the card in the back of his hand there. Is the Harnessed Lightning? I thought he wasn't playing those. Oh no, he is, so probably a Harnessed Lightning. Mods in the tank here. It isn't an easy position to be in. As innocuous as those alchemists may look, they represent quite a lot of pressure. And we get a Spontaneous Artist. So that was a Spontaneous Artist and not the Harnessed Lightning that I thought it was. Now, for some reason, my indicator says that my microphone suddenly became more silent. So if the chat could give me feedback on that one, that would be quite appreciated. Is my audio still loud enough? Can you hear me loud and clear? Mods on the attack. Of course, that's pretty much the only thing the red-green energy aggro deck does. It's fine. Okay. Now we have the Hungry Flames. I need to learn how to type. So a Hungry Flames and a Lightning Axe, discarding one of his 3 Rise from the Tides here. So one more than Kenneth had in the previous round, and Mats again trying to rebuild his board, grow something that can put pressure on Simon, who is still on a relatively healthy life total. Especially against Mats, who, as I mentioned before, is not playing the Uncaged Fury, which is the card you sort of need to have that explosive one-hit kill near combo turn that some of these red-green energy aggro decks are very capable of. And in the meantime, those 2 Thermo Alchemists are shredding Mats apart. Oh, a Verdurous Gearhulk. That's something that can break the status quo that we've had up to now. Simon doesn't seem to have any response to this. No. And we have a very scary cat coming in. Simon already chump blocking, even though Mats was tapped out. And we see a Cathartic Reunion, Fiery Temper, and a Mountain in his hand. Simon is going to go for that plan. So Simon, I think, is going for the face here. Yes, that Fiery Temper hit the face. I think he still needs to draw. Yeah, Simon so friendly to remind his opponent he still needs to draw his cards. Now Mats has 10 power on the board. Gets rid of the blocker with a Harnessed Lightning. Comes in, I think he has 6 energy, so that's exactly 13 damage even just on the table. Yep, and Simon scoops him up, has no answer for this amount of pressure, and we are getting ready to go to game number 2. So let's have a look at what these players have in their sideboards. For Simon, playing blue-red spells, that is 4 dispels, 4 negates, 4 galvanic bombardments, and 3 destructive tempering. So pretty sure those bombardments are coming in, probably taking out the take inventories. That seems like a solid plan to me. I don't see any obvious other changes. He might think he needs this spell to fight some of the pump spells, especially if he is still afraid of that Uncaged Fury that so many of the red-green energy decks are playing. Now Mats from the sideboard has 4 negates. Wait, what? Yes, 4 negates, 1 island, 3 Chandra's Pyrohelix, 3 natural states, 2 destructive tampering, and 2 plummet. So he doesn't really have anything in his deck except his option to board in that 1 island and 4 negates and turn into a teamer aggro deck with a little bit of counter punch. So I'm interested to see what plan exactly he will be taking into game 2 here. Do remember that Mats is up. Red-green energy did win game 1 here, largely based off the back of the power of a Verdurous Gear Hulk. And also welcome to all of our viewers. If you have any questions, remarks, wishes or desires, feel free to put them in the chat so we will address them as appropriately as possible. Also, I'm curious to know if there's anyone that's not part of our local community is in the chat. Just put your location there. Are you a bored American wandering over here way too early in the morning? Are you an enthusiastic Turkish player who I know there's a few playing our budget format there as well? Or are you just a bored click and goer in Twitch TV wondering what the hell it is exactly that you are watching? Dump it in the chat, get some talk going. We have a few of our community moderators in the chat ready to answer some question, and I myself will also keep half an eye on the chat to address any things that I see popping up there. Let's have a look as well at 19 viewers. How big are we on Twitch, really? Let's have a little peek, shall we? While these players are shuffling up anyhow. Let's have a look. Magic. Oh, we have a bit of competition apparently. Not in the top 6. It looks like we're the biggest live stream though. Well, that's good enough for me. In the meantime, we've reached the beginning of game 2 here. Mats winning game 1, so Simon will be on the play. And I had to refresh the chat to have a look. So if you posted a question in the last couple of seconds, you'll have to do it again. Sorry about that. And we're on our way. Okay, Mats does not have his attune with Ether, which means that Simon apparently kept the take inventory in his deck. Would have been the first card I take out against this deck. Ooh, Mats does not have access to green mana, I think. But he has his Walking Ballista. Plays it on one counter, quite vulnerable here. And gets taken out with galvanic bombardments. I'm interested to see what exactly Simon took out to make room for those bombardments. A third green mana. And I see that Mats still has that Vines of the Recluse in his deck, which seems a bit suboptimal here. Maybe he thinks he needs the combat trick against the removal spells. And we have the second take inventory, so the gain chain has started already. Okay. So it's already clear that Mats has a, let's call it a suboptimal hand. Let's see how much Simon is struggling with the same problem as well. Has a Cathartic Reunion. Discards a Fiery Temper to it. Getting in a bit of pitch damage. Oh, Fiery Temper, where is it? Fiery Temper to it. Again, blue-red spells is a deck extremely capable of sifting through its deck, looking for the exact set of cards he needs. And I think he's holding 3 Fiery Tempers there. So Mats has, I think he's Bristling Hydra as a 4-drop. I also see at least 1 gold card, 1 green pump spell, and 2 negates that might as well be blank cards at this point. Not sure what the third green card in his hand is there, but it is going to be the Bristling Hydra. So a hard to answer threat for Simon, especially because it gives a +1/+1 counter, which pulls it out of range for a lot of removal that Simon is playing, in addition to countering the first one with the hexproof aspect of it. Okay, Simon thinking about how he wants to continue this match, passes the turn without playing any cards here. And Mats goes on the offensive with his Hydra, beats for 4. Simon inviting him to put the +1/+1 counter, but Mats declines, very well aware that he would open him up to an instant removal spell, getting rid of his trusty Hydra. We have a Thermo Alchemist. Click first. Thermo Alchemist. That. Well, I guess it will have a hard time racing Bristling Hydra with some backup from the hand. Oh, but Simon decides to force the issue with Hungry Flames. Mats uses the energy to give it hexproof. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there's a little misunderstanding with the 2 damage to the player, but because it says target player as well, it will still resolve. Yeah, and the judges get the correct answer. The 2 damage to the player will still get through. This does seem like a bit of an impatient play from Simon. If he had waited until next turn, he could have responded to the activation of the protection spell by playing another removal spell and get an untap of his Thermo Alchemist out of his hand. So, not sure why he decided to jump the gun here. He has the Hydra at his most vulnerable now, of course, and Mats is already discarding to hand size. So Voltaic Brawler bites the dust here. Mats is hiding the negates, maybe already thinking about a possible game 3. And now we have the Lightning Axe discarding a Incendiary Flow, but Mats has the pump spell now to protect it. And we have another Incendiary Flow. Not sure why that killed it. It had 4 toughness. Maybe I missed another point of damage somewhere. Ah, yes, no, it took 5 damage from the Lightning Axe. So we have a Fevered Visions, now giving extra cards to Mats, who will most likely be taking a lot of damage in the coming turns from that. But I think, I'm not sure, I think Simon just forgot the trigger of the Fevered Visions. Simon will be... I think Simon will be... I know, I was about to say Simon will be taking damage from the visions, but it only damages your opponents. Now Mats choosing to get his island first. So probably thinking that he's maybe anticipating a rise from the tides coming soon, but then giving Simon a window here. He has the 10 mana, 6 mana to cast that spell. But Simon does not have it in his hand. He does have a Chandra Flamecaller, Galvanic Bombardment, Fiery Temper, and I think the Crush of Tentacles in his hand. So I think I answered the question why he didn't search for a mountain already. It's because Mats is probably anticipating that he will need the negates soon. He could straight up lose the game if Simon gets a Rise from the Tides. Wow. And thus getting that. I'm slightly confused by his choice to then play the Tiger, but so that's a Galvanic Bombardment just to get the search on a Crush of Tentacles active. So bouncing the Riparian Tiger and getting an 8/8 token. At least Simon has the 8/8 token, and Mats sees the writing on the walls, scoops them up, and we are going to game 3 here. So Mats losing game 2 largely because of mana screw here, let's be honest. He did not have access to anything but green mana until turn 7, I think, where he Evolving Wilds for a island, probably thinking he would need to protect him against a Rise from the Tide soon, but then playing a Riparian Tiger, opening up the opportunity for Simon to cast Crush of Tentacles and take the game here. We're 1-1 now and going into game 3. Looks like Simon does not want to sideboard. Mats is reconsidering a few cards here. I see a Harnessed Lightning going out. And something else. And shall we get a glimpse of what's coming in? No. Sneaks them off the table quickly. And we're shuffling up for game 3. Again, look for Mats to get an aggressive start. He's on the play again, while Simon tries to disarm every threat that Mats brings to the table, and then after he's depleted his resources, try to take over the game with either a Planeswalker, a Rise from the Tides, or as an alternative win condition has Thermal Alchemist to chip away some life while doing some light blocking work to close out the game. There were 2 negates in Mats' hand, I'm 100% sure of that. It's the only blue card he has. So we're starting game 3 with an Attune with Ether. Already foreboding that Mats won't have that many mana problems as he had last game. Gets the island again. Simon must be quite confused at what is going on exactly, with these islands coming out of the red-green energy deck. But the most obvious card one would expect is the negate here. And no 2-drop for Mats though. So kind to keep the island revealed, so Simon does not need to remember that he still has that in his hand. Is indicating a at least a 3-drop coming. Guess this will be the mountain for Mats and an island for Simon. There we go. Well done, guys. It's nice when they listen to what I say. Okay, some fetching, shuffling, presenting later. We're going to turn 3, where Mats has a rainbow mana for all his colors. And it's time to put something on the board, Mats. You need to put some pressure on your opponent. And it's gonna be an Ether Stream Leopards. Oh, Simon digging with Cathartic Reunion, but also has a Fiery Temper to go with it. Taking out the Leopard also discards a land, indicating that he might be a bit mana flooded in this game. Mats also more than enough lands available to him. Seems to have a bunch of pump spells in his hand. Not sure what the red card on the front is for Mats. But doesn't seem to have an easy drop here. Does that mean he does not have a creature to follow up? That would be great news for Simon here. That he gets some breathing room, gets to use his card draw to go to find just things to develop his board, some lands here and there. Mats taking his time. Or is that a spontaneous artist? We have the Walking Ballista as well, I think. Again, playing it at a rather vulnerable time. Now he would need like 8 mana before it becomes a safe play. At least now he gets to get the option of straight up putting +1/+1 counter on it with the activated ability starting next turn. Well, I'm pretty sure Simon would rather that not happens. Ooh, but plays a Thermal Alchemist, so there we have the Lightning Axe, again discarding a land. And we have a Thermal Alchemist on an empty board here. Life totals pretty high for both players. And Mats thankfully drawing some creatures, some pressures here. Okay, Simon does not have anything to add to the board or to force the issue, would rather use his removal after the energy has been used anyway, but does not have anything. Takes 4 damage from the 2-drop that could, and Mats just keeps on bringing the hurt. Simon's gonna need a sweeper or at least some form of removal or card draw into removal soon, but seems to just keep drawing lands. I see Fevered Vision, Mountain and a blue card in his hand, which is not making him that happy. Ooh, Rise from the Tides gets met with a negate. Negate finally revealing why he is playing blue in his red-green aggro deck. And suddenly Mats has a clock against Simon, who I think forgot to untap his land, and we have a Thriving Rhino. refilling the energy reservoir for mods while putting an extra creature on the board. Simon finds nothing, extends the hand, and the match is over. Mods Kleis winning 2-1 against Boris Simon in a match that was riddled with mana problems. So we'll bring you back to our intermezzo as we prepare for round 4. See you in a couple of minutes.